What's the ideal property purchase for the average investor? My day-to-day contact with real estate consumers indicates that the typical investor is seeking an affordable purchase, preferably below $500,000, which has a decent rental yield and is positioned to provide above average capital growth in the future. The good news is that despite significant price growth in recent years, Australia continues to deliver plenty of options that tick all those boxes. Many people still believe that you have to choose between high capital growth or a high rental yield, that you can't have both in the one investment. But our research at Hotspotting proves that this is false. The quarterly editions of the report we call The Pulse, which we publish in conjunction with the nation's leading experts on depreciation, Washington Brown, show that there are many locations which have recorded excellent capital growth in addition to providing those high rental yields. Now, to give you an idea of the possibilities, imagine buying a house in a growth regional city for less than $350,000 and having it grow in value 27% in the first year of ownership. So that's $93,000 in capital growth in just 12 months. At the same time, rents have increased 16%, providing a gross rental yield around 7%. Now, this result was achieved over the past 12 months in a suburb in the Queensland regional city of Gladstone. So, does it get any better than that? Well, according to the growth achieved in locations featured in past editions of the Pulse quarterly report, you can indeed exceed those results. One of our featured locations had 29% growth in its median house price in the past year, and that's well over $100,000 in capital growth in 1 year on a $400,000 purchase. And rents also grew 22% in 12 months. And this was the result for Keary Park, a suburb of Bunbury in Western Australia, where rental yields were close to 7%. Another of our choices in past editions, Calliope in central Queensland, grew its median house price 30% in 12 months, while rents rose 20%. The Queensland suburb of Rasmussen lifted its median house price 30% and its rents also rose 10% in 12 months. Now, keep in mind that the national average growth in house prices in the past year has been around 4 or 5%. Now, those are all house markets, and many unit markets also featured in past editions of the Pulse have also enjoyed excellent capital growth as well as significant rental increases, adding to those already high rental yields. Units in the Sydney suburb of Harris Park near Parramatta recorded an 11% rise in the median price and a 15% annual increase in the median rent, with gross rental yields above 6%. Lakemba and the Canterbury Bankstown LGA did even better, with prices up 14% and rents 16%. The suburb of Blacks Beach in Mackay in central Queensland has had significant increases, and both the median price up 17% and the median weekly rent up 11%. The suburb of East Perth grew its median unit price 16% and rents 15%, and units in the Gladstone suburb of Tannum Sams increased prices 19% and rents 18%. Now, in each edition of the Pulse, we feature 50 locations, 25 house markets and 25 unit markets, all of which have median rental yields above 6%, and many are over 7% and one or two are nudging 8%. But in addition, most of our selected locations have also had price growth well in excess of national averages. For example, most of the 50 locations featured in the November 2024 edition of the Pulse have outstanding records on capital growth and rental growth. Of the 25 unit markets selected in that previous edition, 23 recorded annual growth in their median prices, 22 of them above the national average of the past year, which was around 3% according to PropTrack data, and 16 of the 25 unit markets recorded double-digit annual increases in their median unit prices. Rental growth has been strong also. All but one of the 25 chosen locations have recorded annual growth in rents, 23 of them above the national average, and 17 have delivered annual rental growth above 10%. Now, the starting point of those 25 unit locations was rental yields above 6%, with almost half of them over 7%. To also achieve strong capital growth and further rental increases to add to the rental yield represents outstanding investment. There was similar outperformance amongst the house markets listed in that earlier edition of the Pulse. Of the 25 house markets selected, 24 recorded annual growth in their median prices, 21 of them above the national average of the past year, which was 4%, according to PropTrack, and 14 of the 25 house markets recorded double-digit annual increases in their median house prices. Rental growth was strong also. All but 2 of the 25 chosen locations have recorded annual growth in rents, 19 of them above the national average, and 13 have delivered annual rental growth above 10%. Now these were locations spread across Queensland, Western Australia, New South Wales, Victoria, South Australia, and some in Darwin, with a sprinkling of places also in Tasmania and the ACT. In the new February 2025 edition of the Pulse, Queensland is the dominant state. 17 of the 50 locations selected for their high rental yields are in Queensland, mostly in regional markets outside of Brisbane. Queensland is rapidly becoming the market most targeted by investors, with its large number of regional centres with affordable prices and high rental yields, as well as good prospects for capital growth. The other jurisdiction to achieve greater prominence is the Northern Territory, with 7 Darwin suburbs featuring in the list of 25 unit markets and 25 house markets. More and more investors are inquiring about Darwin's prospects for growth, given its well-established status as the capital city with the highest rental yields by some distance. Hotspotting's analysis is that Darwin, which has underperformed on price growth in recent years, will be a much stronger market in 2025. Western Australia remains prominent, although a little less so than in previous editions. There is growing evidence that the Perth boom has passed its peak, but the city nevertheless still has notable options for high rental yields, particularly in its unit markets. 10 of the 50 chosen locations have rental yields between 7.4% and 8%, all of them places with prospects for high capital growth.